Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtapraya Shabadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Today the most auspicious day of appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada, who is also known as the Ray of Vishnu. Prabhupada would call him Lion Guru, Simha Guru. Right? So, whenever Srila Prabhupada would speak of his spiritual master, he would get tears in his eyes. So, I am very fortunate to describe the wonderful pastimes of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. I will try to narrate as much as possible. It is an ocean of pastimes. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has appeared on the 6th February 1874, the 5th day of the dark lunar fortnight in the month of Govinda of the Gaudiya Vaishnava calendar, corresponding to the Bengali month of Magha. So, there is one verse. He appeared in Puri, Jagannath Puri, just few miles, not even half a mile from Jagannath temple. There is a verse from Padma Purana, Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnavaha Kshitipavanaha Chatvaraste Kalau Bhavya He Utkale Purushottamat. In Kali Yuga, the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, which are purifiers of the earth, will appear in Purushottam Kshetra in Utkala. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is renowned, his father. He actually resurrected the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which became infamous because of the behavior of some pseudo so-called Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Then he was also working as a magistrate in British government. British government was afraid of two personalities, it seems, Sir C.R. Das and Kedarnath Datta. They were very afraid that if this personality, Kedarnath Datta, would enter the freedom movement, we will have to vacate the country. So much respect they had for Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was residing in Jagannath Puri, he prayed to Lord Jagannath that, my dear Lord, your mission is unlimited. I am unable to preach sufficiently. Then I don't have much time left with me. So please, I am praying to you that please send one of your associates so that he can preach your glories, the glories of the holy name all over the world. Then, as an answer to his prayer, Lord Jagannath appeared in his dream and directed him to pray to Bimala Devi. All of you know that in Jagannath temple, there is a small temple of Bimala Devi, right? So, as an answer to his prayer, by the blessings of Bimala Devi and Lord Jagannath, this beautiful boy appeared. So, as soon as he appeared, there was a unbiblical card wrapped around his body, which actually left impression throughout his life as a Janav. So, after that, when he is 5 months old, when Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra was taking place, Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra Rath stopped in front of his house. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a very famous officer at that time. So Rath has stopped in front of his house. That time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur kept this small boy of 5 months old in front at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. And this boy immediately tried to catch the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. He touched the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath also reciprocated by garland, by leaving the garland, by dropping the garland around the neck of Srila Bimal Prasad. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood that this is the boy for whom I have prayed to the Lord. Right? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had two wives. The number one wife, he married at the age of 11 when she was 5 years old. I heard from my parents when they used to do this child marriages. Usually in Andhra, even here also, they have late night muhurtas, like that. And the girl would fall asleep because she was so small, 5 or 6 year old girls. And then they would wake her up and put Mangal Sutra like that. So it was, they had one son. I think Anantirtha Datta somewhere. And then after one year of the childbirth, she died. Then immediately, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur married Bhagavati Devi. So with her, he had 13 children, 8 sons and 5 daughters. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was fourth one. Bimal Prasad. So all of them, they are Prasad. Then the last one is Lalit Prasad. So Srila Prabhupada met him. There was some interaction with him. So last year, we went to the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was brought up. There was a village near Mayapur. There, the building, the bungalow, everything was there where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was brought up. And then Lalit Prasad Datta, they were actually running a small temple. Beautiful temple is there. So, if next time you can go there, very near to Mayapur, maybe 1.5 hours from Mayapur. I went recently like that. So, Srila, and on the same day, the Rath Yatra, they did Annaprasana. So they fed him with Jagannath Prasad. So on the same day, the boy, so many things were kept, like grains and other stuff, and then Bhagavatam. Then Bhaktisiddhanta crawled and then caught Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood that this boy is very special, a ray of Vishnu. Then he actually took care of him very nicely, with love and care. And then right from the childhood, he taught him Krishna consciousness, Krishna Bhakti. And then Bimal Prasad, Sri Bimal Prasad, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was a very quick learner, very quick learner. And at the age of 4, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him Narsingha mantra. Narsingha mantra. Ugram Viram Mahavishnum Jvalantam Sarvatomukham. So he was chanting Narsingha mantra at the age of 4. So he was wearing Kantimala Tilak, like a proper Vaishnava, like that. When he was building a Bhakti Bhavan in Kolkata, there, during the excavation, he found Kurma Shila, Kurmadev Shila, Saligram Shila. So, during those those years, this Brahminism, caste feelings are very, very high. Only those who are born in Brahmin families, they were only allowed to worship Shaligram Shilas. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur defied that norm. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave that Kurmadev Shila, Shaligram Shila, to Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, and then taught him the required mantras. Then he taught him how to worship those Shaligram Shila. So, which is a very great thing, very revolutionary thing to do that during those years, where this caste Goswamis are very predominant. All these, caste feelings are very high in the society. One of the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he wrote a esoteric commentary on this, that there is lot of significance to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta worshipping Kurmadev Shaligram Shila right from the childhood, because Kurmadev represents Adbhuta Rasa, inconceivable, Chamatkar. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, lot of Achintya, Chamatkar, Chitra, all these words are used. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would experience different rasas, when they maximize, he would assume the form of Kurmadev. Right? Remember in Jagannath Puri, all his angas and all, they would go inside. So, so it was indicated. So it is not just coincidence. There is a lot of esoteric reasons, meaning is there behind Srila Bhaktisiddhanta worshipping Kurmadev Shaligram Shila, and it indicated that he would preach the glories of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was born, Bhaktivinoda Thakur invited a very famous astrologer. Then he studied the horoscope of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, then told that all the 32 qualities of great personalities, symptoms, that is mentioned in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, are present in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's horoscope. Then he predicted that I have read so many horoscopes, but I have never read such a horoscope. He is such a great personality that he will spread the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead all over the world. He predicted like that. So they predicted for Srila Prabhupada also, right? At the age of 70, he will build 108 temples, like that, So this greatness of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta were evident right from the childhood. He actually then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wanted, that even though Bhaktivinoda Thakur sang in a bhajan that Moha Janami Anitya Sansare Karaya Gada. Modern education will make a person into a Gada, into a donkey. right? They spend, millions of rupees. They have to spend at least 25 lakh rupees to get a degree from IIM Kolkata or IIM Ahmedabad or like that. After that, they will become a modern slave, right? Morning 6 o'clock to night 11 o'clock. They have to work hard. And then they have no family life, no private life, no social life all the time. So they become, you know, I am born intelligent, but this education made me a fool. Yeah, especially modern education. Anyway, but still, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not condemn. Bhakti, he said, in order to mix with this gentlemen, British and other gentlemen, you need secular education, right? So that is why he inducted him into a this school, and then he was actually ekasanta graha, means he would learn simply by reading once, and then he would remember throughout his life. That is why he is known as living encyclopedia. At the age of 7, he memorized all 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. And then he could explain Bhagavad Gita with Vaishnava explanations, Vaishnava meanings. Like that. And then he became very well versed. Once, one Babaji came to meet Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur offered obeisances, but he saw Bhaktisiddhanta standing, a small boy, not offering obeisances. Then that Baba commented, why this boy is not offering obeisances? Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, my son doesn't offer obeisance to Sahajiyas. One more time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's so-called Diksha Guru, Bipin Bihari Goswami. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very humble. He offered, he would offer proper, respects to his Guru. Then he once, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur offered obeisance to Bipin Bihari Goswami, Bipin Bihari Goswami kept his feet on the head of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So at that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is 6 years old. So he rebuked Bipin Bihari Goswami, saying that, do you think you have power to keep your feet on my father's head? Do you know who he is? He is a Manjari in Golok Vrindavan. So, like that. So Bipin Bihari Goswami said, your son is very impudent, arrogant. Like that. But that was his knowledge. That was his stature. Like that. In Pandit Prithvishwara Sharma, he taught grammar to Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. It's called Siddhanta Kaumidi. Siddhanta Kaumidi. Like yesterday I was teaching Ishwapanishad, I was reading Prabhupada's introduction to Ishwapanishad. Prabhupada wrote this grammar and all that, Panini grammar and all. It takes for an intelligent person 12 years to learn. Right? 12 years to learn. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta learned this grammar in 3 months. When this Guru told him, you cannot learn like this. There are many people who learn throughout his life. Our Vishnu, where is Vishnu? He is learning throughout his life. Grammar, he went to Benares and Then he is saying that it is so difficult because it is every day you have to recite, you have to memorize those grammar rules. Otherwise, you will forget, it seems. Every day you have to recite like that. So, but Bhaktisiddhanta learned it in 3 months. When this Prithvishwara, so no, you cannot actually learn this. There are many pandits in Benares who take lifetime to learn this grammar and all. How you learned it in 3 months? Then he quoted a verse saying that anybody who learns Panini grammar, he will he will get moksha. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta rejected him. He said, I am rejecting you. I am rejecting you because I don't want this so-called moksha and all that. I want to perform devotional service. I want to propagate devotional service. So I don't want moksha. Like that, he rejected him. Like that. So right from childhood, he took interest in astrology. Then astronomy. In 1893, that means how old is he? 1874 he took birth. How old? 9 years. He translated, one part of astrology and astronomy as Siddhanta Shiromani. And then in 1896, he wrote Surya Siddhanta. How old was he? 12 years. Right? That is why he was, in 1860, there was one very famous astrologer in Benares and in Calcutta. His name was Bapudeva Shastri. He wrote actually Surya Siddhanta. Originally, he translated into Bengali. Then he compromised with Britishers. Then he he accepted the Copernicus theory of astronomy also. And then he went against standard Vedic system of astronomy and astrology. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta defeated his arguments. Then he published these books in 1893 and 1896. So later on, Pandit Panchanana, he was head of the astronomy department in Sanskrit college where Bhaktisiddhanta was studying. He was a very renowned, the best of astrologers and astronomers during his time. Then he was a avowed atheist. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he had a run-in with him. Then they were having arguments. So later on, the principal came and then he made a patch up with both the boys. And then after some time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta refuted the principal's arguments also. The principal, they क्या बोलते हैं, rusticated. He has removed him from the college. Rusticated? ऐसे बोलते हैं ना? Rusticated. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said thank you. Because he already became very famous for his scholarship and all. Then they were also already proposals are coming from very rich families and renowned families to get him married. Because he's very scholarly and bright and very famous like that. Then he said, if I had finished this education, I would have got a very good job. Then so many fathers, they would come to pressurize me to get them married. Now, if I'm degreeless, if I'm not getting a proper job, then nobody would bother me. Thank you very much. Like that. Once he was learning Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent him to a very renowned personality for learning scriptures and Sanskrit and all. All of you must have heard Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Have you heard? Huh? You heard? Who is he? Huh? Yeah, we studied, in our textbooks we used to have Ishwar Chandra Vidyas. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Acha. Uh, somebody asked him that about Bhagavan. He said, I have not met him, I have not seen him, how his hands look like, how his feet look like, how his face looks like. So that's why I don't want to comment. Like that, he said that. But he wrote a book, Bodhodaya. It is a very famous book in Bengal. In that, he said Nirakar, Nirvisesh and all that. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur got up and then challenged him that how you concluded that Bhagavan is Nirakar and Nirvisesh. Have you seen him? After seeing him and after meeting him, have you written this? Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he was a very famous personality. That time he was very old also. He was very, very flabbergasted. How this small boy, is challenging me like this, like that. So in this Bhopadeva and his disciples, they were actually spreading this wrong views of astronomy and all that. In 1902, January 2nd, so Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, by the time he lost interested in astrology, he was not so much pursuing. Some of his disciples, they have persuaded him to come and debate with this Bapudev Shastri. But by the time he became very old, so he sent some of his disciples. Then there was a huge argument. There is they have in the Sabha, they have hired an assembly hall, and then there was a full of people they assembled to listen to the arguments between the two parties. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta argued so vehemently and then established his Siddhanta so strongly that the opponent, the one of the disciples of Bapudev Shastri, he passed urine and stool in his dhoti. Then he said, Bhaktisiddhanta said, "Arey, itna insult nahi karna chahiye." You see, after that he completely left, like that. One very interesting thing is that even though from his childhood he believed in astrology and all very strongly, but whenever Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he would give some instruction, contrary to his astrological calculations, he gave more importance to the instruction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur than his conviction of astrology. Right? So he gave more importance to Bhakti, Bhavana and all that. He, during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, there is one Bhakti Alamak, calendar, calendar, Tithi. So even though there are some mistakes in that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur accepted it. Just because Bhaktivinoda Thakur accepted it, Bhaktisiddhanta also accepted, because even though it contains some errors. Right? And in 1901, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he took his son Bhaktisiddhanta to Jagannath Puri. So near Haridas Thakur Mutt, he started building a bhavan. It is also called Bhakti Bhavan. Then that place now is owned by ISKCON. Sometime back they purchased. It was in a dilapidated condition, so they purchased that place and now they renovated. So a small temple is guest house and restaurant is also there. In front of that there is Gaudimat is also there. Then just near to our temple in Jagannath Puri, there is this Haridas Thakur Samadhi, Bhajan Kutir is there, where they do 24-hour bhajan. There, he made one personality used to come. His name was Radha Raman Charan Das Babaji. Initially, he was friends with Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. They used to have conversations and all. So later on, he concocted a new mantra. Right? He concocted a new mantra. Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Right? So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they have tried to convince him. They have tried to convince him not to propagate this mantra, which is, just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, Part 2, there is a description where Prabhupada writes very nicely. He gave some concession to them, saying that even though they are Sahajiyas and all, because they are chanting the name of Nitai and Gaur, some benefit they will get in the long run. Prabhupada gave some, benefit of doubt to them. But Prabhupada's, in ISKCON also, in 1988, 99, 2000, during that time, one devotee of ISKCON Juhu, he was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita and all. Then he concocted a thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful than Lord Krishna, so we should chant his mantra. Then he started a new movement within ISKCON, saying that Gauranga Gauranga 108 times, Nityananda Nityananda 108 times. Like that he started. Then he was kicked out from ISKCON. Then he started his own movement. He took sannyas. He became a guru. Now he, he propagates Gauranga Gauranga, Nityananda Nityananda. But Prabhupada warned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Part 2 that one should not think that just because I am worshipping Lord Chaitanya, I can avoid worshipping Radha and Krishna. And then just because I am worshipping Radha and Krishna, I cannot avoid worshipping of Nitai and Gaur. So it's very important. Even though it is mentioned that we should, before chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we should chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Because in chanting Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhupada writes that no offenses are meant. So you can avoid offenses. But in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so just because it is written like that, we cannot simply chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda 108 times on the bead. Prabhupada said, only once you should chant. Like that. So you should be very careful about that. So, in 1901, then what happened? There was huge debate occurred between these two personalities, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Sri Radharaman Charan Das Babaji. Like that. And then, to his shock, he was actually preaching very strongly against these Apasiddhantas, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Then what happened? The public opinion turned against Bhaktisiddhanta, who is propagating truth. This is Kali Yuga. This is Kali Yuga. And then people started supporting Radharaman that Babaji. Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Srila Prabhupada, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed, even though he sympathized with Bhaktisiddhanta and accepted his philosophy and then his truth, but still he requested him to please don't get into these fights and all, because some of the disciples of Charandas Babaji, they tried to accost and beat up Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. They wanted to assault him. Like that. So then he said, don't get into all these fights. Go. And then he instructed him to chant 1 billion names, Shatakoti Nama. Right? Shatakoti Nama. So, because at that time, Yogpit, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted Yogpit to be developed. But nobody was willing to come and stay there, even if they are paid also. So that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, go there and chant. So he has taken a vow of chanting 1 billion names, that is 100 crores. So every day he used to chant 3 lakh names. 3 lakh names. Then it took him 9 years to finish Shatakoti Nam. Can you imagine? So that is why, I mean, Naya Bhaktas, they want to preach and, make devotees and all. Then what happens, new Bhaktas when they preach, anybody who repeats Prabhupada books, they can actually attract people. And then they think that I become such a big devotee. Right? I'm making so many devotees. Then groupism, then everything is finished. Before preaching, we should prepare ourselves. Like Prabhupada, a lifetime in preparation. Right? When we joined, initially we used to go, we were not allowed to give lectures. Right? I used to go IIT here and there, make arrangements, make posters, chipkaw, poster chipkaw all over the college, and then get the boys, and then distribute prasad, cultivate them. Not give it. After 4-5 years, then only we are allowed to give lecture. Right? Abhi new bhaktas, Anyway, so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta prepared 9 to 10 years like that. Then he started, he opened a Chaitanya Mutt in Chandrasekhar Acharya's place. Then there was a deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In front of that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's deity, he used to chant these holy names. These holy names. Like that. Then he started developing. Then before that, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even though, he taught him, how to print, how to edit, proofreading, everything when he was a small boy. So, but in 1898, he sent Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, came from Vrindavan to Navadvip. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur went and told him, you go and take initiation from Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta approached Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he said, once I have initiated one person, he turned out to be a cheater. That's why I have decided not to give initiation to anybody else. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta persisted. When upon the persistence of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj told, I will ask Mahaprabhu and tell you. First time when he went, what did Mahaprabhu say? He said, I forgot to ask. Next time, second time he asked, what did he say? Oh, I didn't ask. Third time, then he said, I asked, but I didn't get any response. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur thought that, what is this? Karuna na hoibe, kandile. So if your mercy is not there, I will cry and cry. Like that. Then he prayed. Then he said, when Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj rejected me to be a disciple, then I understood that everybody is praising me. In his childhood, he opened a sabha. It is called Chirakumar Sabha. Chirakumar Sabha. Lifelong brahmacharis. I think in this century there is only one Askalita brahmachari, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. All of us, we are dongi brahmacharis. Right? Very difficult to be a brahmachari in this age of Kali, age of internet, so much mixing. So all his friends, they got married. He is the only one who remained as a brahmachari. Like that. He was very, very truthful person. Then morality personified and all that. So he wrote an article saying that why would you accept me as a disciple? Because I am proud of a very highly educated, highly scholarly, you know, brahmachari, you know, celibate, then moralistic. All good qualities are there, which are regarded very highly in the society. But you are a devotee of Krishna who is a debauchee. So why would you accept me? Because I am I thought that I am very highly situated, but actually now I understand that I am the most fallen person. So please accept me as your disciple, like that. Then when he was crying and crying, then Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj said, okay, go and take bath in Ganga and come. Then he initiated him, like that. Later on, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj gave 3 instructions to Sri Bhaktisiddhanta. Can you tell? What are the 3 instructions? Bolo, Janudvi? He gave 3 instructions to Bhaktisiddhanta. Don't go to Calcutta. Bolo, Govind Kumar? Don't initiate disciple. Don't associate. Don't accept disciples. Don't associate with anybody. And don't go to Kolkata. Then somebody asked, are you not contradicting your Guru Maharaj? Did you not disobey? Then he quoted the example of Sri Ramanujacharya. Then he said, I never initiated anybody. I treat them as my gurus I see my disciples as my gurus who are actually engaged in Hari Seva. I want to inculcate their eagerness to serve Hari. Right? I never associate with anybody. Right? Then I never went to Kolkata. I only went to Gaudi Mutt, which are actually Vaikunthas. Which are Vaikunthas. Like that. Anyway, so he started a little bit preaching, and then started printing books, these magazines and all that. Then he established a press in Kolkata. All that is happening. In 1914, 23rd June, Bhaktivinoda Thakur left this world. So, actually, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in 1910 only, he fell sick. He became paralytic attack and all that. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur understood that he was in Mahabhav. Whenever he wanted to become externally conscious, he would come out of, otherwise he was constantly chanting and remembering Krishna. But he was actually pretending to be sick so that people don't disturb him. People don't disturb him like that. Otherwise, Prabhupada was there in Prabhupada quarters. Everybody would come. Prabhupada was very sick. They would come and ask, Swamiji, how are you? Prabhupada was, can't you see? I am so unwell. Then they come and ask me, Swamiji, how are you? Don't allow anybody to meet. Like that. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj, so this pastime, this is always there. Right. Actually, when we meet sadhus, especially sannyasis and all, we should not ask, how are you? Right? It is given in 3rd Canto Bhagavatam that, because they are always in ecstasy, they are always nice. They are always good, Right? That's why you should not ask this question, how are you, Maharaj? Right? You should not ask, senior devotees, how are you? Because they are always auspicious. They are always happy because they are always, Krishna conscious. So you should not ask, how are you? Kemcho. Right? Like that. So, then when he was in Kolkata. Then Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj sent a message saying that don't stay. Kolkata is a Kali's sthan. It is a hell. Please come back and leave your body in Godrum Dweep. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent a reply saying that I give, because he was a junior, wherever Vaishnavas stay, that is Vrindavan. So for me, this Calcutta is no lesser than Vrindavan. Then Gaurkishore, yes, he agreed. Yes, wherever Vaishnavas stay, because they carry Krishna in their hearts. So wherever Prabhupada went, that is Vrindavan. Right? Once, I think in Atlanta temple or somewhere, or Prahladananda Swami, they were describing that Prabhupada, there was a tumultuous kirtan. I think in Los Angeles, once, there was a tumultuous kirtan. And everybody felt they are in Vaikuntha. Everybody felt they are in Vaikuntha. Then Prabhupada said, yes, I am giving you a sample of Vaikuntha life. There is so much, when you go to Vaikuntha, there is so much more. I am just giving a sample of Vaikuntha. Once, Prabhupada was very fond of garden in Los Angeles. So they were, Vishnujan Swami chanting Hare Krishna and devotees are dancing. Prabhupada said, oh, this is Vaikuntha. This is Vaikuntha. Like that. So anyway, he preferred to leave his body in Kolkata. So by the time Bhaktisiddhanta went from Mayapur to Kolkata, they cremated. They didn't wait for him to come. But his mother, everybody was crying and all, but his mother, Bhagavati Devi, she was very composed and very showing dhairya, dhira. Dehinosmini ata dehe, komaram evanam jara. She was not, beating her chest and chala gaya. Right in the Chennai, in Madras, they pay, some of these ladies, when they die, ayo mar gaya, chala gaya, they cry. After that, they say okay, and then they eat, sambar rice, Anyway, so Bhaktisiddhanta was surprised, that everybody was crying, but his mother was very composed and, very high. Then she told that we should not cry on this day, because we should rejoice that our father went back to Godhead and then joined the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Then then every year he used to conduct this anniversary celebrations of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Then on 16th of November 1915, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj left his body. When these two great personalities left this world, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur became very grief-stricken and despondent, saying that, now to whom shall I show my publications? When Bhaktivinoda Thakur left this world, he was very much sorry that whom should I tell my preaching efforts? To whom should I show my paper, written publications? Who will correct me? Like that, he became very despondent. Then after 1 year, within a year's time, when Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj left, he became completely crestfallen. Then he said, what to do? Then then all his friends and disciples, they were encouraging him to start preaching and all. Then the few papers of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita fell in front of him, where Mahaprabhu's teachings to Sanatana Goswami, right, to Sanatana Goswami. So there he understood that I should actually, because Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatana Goswami to write Vaishnava literatures, to establish temples, and then regain the last pastime places of Lord Krishna, like that. Then he took that instruction. Then he was thinking, he was very, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, like Prabhupada, he was very expert in collecting money and all. Right? He was, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he would always say, I am very poor in collecting money and all. Right? Sometimes I know some devotees, they are very poor in collecting money. So they would ask, Are Ramarupa, how you are collecting so much money? Bolta hai, it is a, knack, like Prabhupada praised Gargamuni as Gargamani. Right? Gargamani used to call him Gargamani. Like that. ऐसा लक्ष्मी पुत्र है, किसी किसी का हो जाता है. So, but then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the Goswamis, they appeared in the dream of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Said, hey, Siddhanta Saraswati. Actually, there is a lot of portion, but there is one guy who was acting as a disciple of Mitra. Then he would not allow Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur to meet Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, his own spiritual master, because he was envious of him. One day, somehow or other, then he said, at least inform that I have come. Then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj came out and then kept his lotus feet on the head of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, which he would never do to anybody. He would not allow anybody to take his dust, because he would sometimes live in, latrine, dirty place, like that. Then he told him that don't be afraid of anything. Go and preach the absolute truth. Preach about the absolute truth all over the world. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta understood that this is my goal, like Prabhupada understood, like that. Then, but he was afraid that he was not a good manager. He was not very good in collecting money and all that. What will happen? How will I run? Calcutta is a place, Kalistan and all that. Then all these great personalities, they came in his dream and told him that don't worry, Bhaktisiddhanta Babu, go to Calcutta. We will supply you money, men, places, resources, everything. You just concentrate on writing and preaching. Everything will be done. We will do it. Like that. Then is a Kunj Bihari Prabhu. He was a very, very prominent disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and very dear to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Later on, he became Bhaktivilas Tirtha Goswami. And he used to criticize Srila Prabhupada a lot. Then Prabhupada also used to criticize him a lot. Prabhupada called him snake in the grass and all that. But he is the, when Srila Bhakti, all of you I request, when you go to next time Kolkata, please go to Ultadanga temple. How many of you have gone? Not gone? Huh? Only one? Arey, what is this? Everybody should go. Next time you go, get down at Kolkata, see that place and then take a taxi and go to Mayapur. Very beautiful place. They have renovated. So that is the place, Ultadanga. They have, Bhaktisiddhanta rented that place for 50 rupees. That building at that time, 50 rupees. And then it was very, very difficult for them to pay rent, 50 rupees rent. Right? 50 rupees rent. Then Kunj Bihari Prabhu, he was working as a postman during that time. He said, I will pay 25 rupees. Tell other disciples to collect another 25 rupees. That also they used to have a lot of problem. Collecting 25 rupees. Then Kunj Bihari Prabhu, he fell into loans. He was taking loans, to run the mission, the Gaudi mission, Gaudi Mat, like that. So later on, he had to go to Basra in Iraq. In Iraq. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was very, very grief-stricken when he went to Basra, Iraq, because he had to repay his loans. That is why he went to Iraq to earn money. So when he came back, Bhaktisiddhanta went to seaport, to receive him and then hugged him. Said, come back like that. So he was a very, very efficient manager. So he would bring all the people, intellectuals and all that. Bhaktisiddhanta would preach. Like that, after 1914, I think 1921 or something like that, the Gaudiya Math is established. Then it simply exploded everywhere. It just exploded everywhere. So all young people like ISKCON. Once Prabhupada was preaching in America. Then one lady journalist asked, Swamiji, how is it? All the young boys, they were chanting and dancing. Young boys, how so many young boys are joining your movement? Then Prabhupada counter question: whom do you see in universities and colleges? Young people or old people? Then she said, young people. So because I am giving education, that is why young people are coming. Then he told one very interesting thing. He commented, you can't teach new tricks to old dogs. Yeah, that's why Prabhupada said, don't preach to old people, waste of time. Because they can't change their opinions at a later age. Like that. Anyway, so Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, he would insist on printing books and then holding, theistic exhibitions, dolls and all that. And then his theory is always spend more than you collect. So they wanted to build a temple somewhere, I think in Chaitanya Mata somewhere. One gentleman gave lot of few lakhs at the time. Then he spent that money to hold this theistic exhibition. Theistic exhibition. Spending lakhs of rupees. And then there was a protest, protest rallies that, this sadhu is, wasting money on this stupid, doll exhibitions and all. Where, that time Bengal's famine is there, then people are dying. So people are approaching him and said, why are you spending so much money on these theistic exhibitions? Why didn't you give it to us to feed poor people who are starving, Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta said, there is only one, drought of only one thing in this world. That is drought of Krishna consciousness. At that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he was attracting very young people, that too from, this Brahmin families. And then, I forgot to tell one thing. On 27th March 1918, in Chaitanya Mat, it is Vrajapattanam, he took sannyas in front of the photograph of Shri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Right? Like that. Anyway, he, Subhash Chandra Bose, at the time, he started Ajad Hind Fauj, something like that. So they were actually fighting in the freedom movement, like that. They wanted to fight against British. Then he came to meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to argue with him. Said, give your young boys, why are they, what are they? They are wasting their time, sannyas clothes and all, give them, I will train them in armed battle and then they will fight against British, like that. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta appreciated British. He appreciated British because he said they are not, it doesn't matter who is ruling the country as long as they are giving us protection. They are allowing us to chant Hare Krishna. So these British, they are allowing us to chant Hare Krishna. They are giving us protection. There are so many things to tell. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, please remember, he fought against these two people. One is Bhagavad Kathakars, who do kathas for earning money. And then those who are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra for money. Right? And then once they went for parikrama, these caste Goswamis, who are very, very angry with Bhaktisiddhanta, they tried to kill him. Vinod Vihari Prabhu, who was resembling Bhaktisiddhanta, he wore, saffron cloth and pretended to be a Bhaktisiddhanta. And then they arrested him and all that stuff. He suffered a lot. Then Bhaktisiddhanta escaped. Like that. Then it came in the paper and all. Then British government, they gave protection, policemen. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta appreciated. In Chennai, for Gaudiya Math, they gave the land. Then Viceroy came and all that. When Viceroy, the King George or somebody came to Kolkata, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur chosen two personalities to go and receive our garland on behalf of Gaudiya Math. You know who are those two personalities? Because he thought English-speaking gentlemen, they should go and garland. You know who are these two personalities? Huh? One was our Prabhupada. Right? Another is Narayan Das Bhakti Sudhakar Prabhu. He was a professor. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta respected like that. Anyway, Subhash Chandra Bose went and argued with Bhaktisiddhanta that give these boys. Then Bhaktisiddhanta said, what is this nonsense in British and India? You are saying Britain get out, Britishers get out, Britishers get out. Now you die, yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram. At the time of death, whatever thing, state of being, you will attain that, you will become a Britisher. And then you will come and harass Indians. So don't waste time. Then he preached, Dehinosmini ata dehe komaram evram jara tata dehantar prapti dhirastatra namuhyati. All that, Then Subhash Chandra Bose was mighty impressed. Oh, I had met you late, very late. If I had met you before, I would have joined you. Like that. Anyway, Prabhupada's senior, Subhash Chandra Bose. Prabhupada was very fond of Subhash Chandra Bose. He said, not because of Gandhi, because of Subhash Chandra Bose, we got independence. Like that. Anyway. I will close by telling about some great personalities who are associated with Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta. Bhaktisiddhanta, preached. Then there is one boy. He was just 12 or 13 years old boy. He used to come after the school with the luggage and all, and he would stay in Gaudiya Math. Right? He would stay in Gaudiya Math. Then he would attend Mangalarti. Right? He would attend Mangalarti. Then, as usual, there are some disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta complained that, this boy, he is simply eating and sleeping, and he comes from the school, he doesn't do any service, he is simply taking prasad and all that stuff. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta called him. Why? What are you doing? Why? What is? Then he said, I want to attend Mangalarti every day. Oh, really? Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, anybody who chants, Samsara Davanala early in the morning, he will go back to Golok Vrindavan. So that's why don't miss Mangalarti. Huh? Right. Like that. Anyway. Sometimes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would give more importance to smaller donors than bigger donors. Because some of the grahasthas, they would give a small donation and take full plate of Mahaprasad and with all his family members and all. So some of his disciples are envious. Guru Maharaj, all these people are eating and unless so much and all that stuff. Then Bhaktisiddhanta would say, these people are far better than all these rich people who will give more big donations, but they don't like to honor prasad. So sometimes people would come and then suddenly appear during Rajbhog Aarti and they request for prasad. Bhaktisiddhanta would tell, Super Soul has inspired them to come and ask for prasad. Don't chase them away. He would, if he was present, he would personally serve those people. Like that. Not that, chase away. Like that. Anyway. I will tell some prominent disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Of course, one was Srila Prabhupada, greatest disciple of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, right? Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he was very, very fond of Srila Prabhupada. His god brothers, they used to call him, Kachagrasta and all that, But Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, he was so fond of Srila Prabhupada that sometimes Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he was surrounded by all those sannyasis who are born in Brahmin families and they are very, very scholarly. Ananta Vasudev and all that. Very, very scholarly people. And then he would very seriously discuss matters with these sannyasis. And then when Prabhupada would come from Kolkata to Navadvip or somewhere, Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta would recognize Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, by his ahat, by the sound of his footsteps. And he would say, Bhaktivedanta Babu aaya hai, Abhay Babu aaya hai, all of you go. All of you go. Then he would lock himself with Abhay Babu and discuss. Then they would always wonder, what our Guru Maharaj is discussing with his Kachagrasta. Like that. So, once there was a discussion, he wanted to open start printing some magazine. So he was suggesting names, some suggestions. He wanted some suggestions, what name should be given. So many of his disciples, they were giving many names. But Prabhupada mentioned that back to Godhead. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, oh, this is very nice. This is very nice. That is why Back to Godhead magazine came, They didn't use, but Prabhupada used Back to Godhead magazine. Like that. Anyway, there are many, all of us, we know. So there is one very prominent disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta there are many actually. Once Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, he was giving a lecture on 3rd chapter, 30th verse. How many of you know? 3rd chapter, 30th verse. Bolo. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa Yudhyasva Vigatajvara. Prabhupada said, this verse shows the essence of all Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavad Gita. Surrender all your works unto me. So one day, then as usual, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta asked, any questions? Then one disciple, one person raised his hands. Said, what? How to apply this verse practically? How to give? How to apply this verse? Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta asked, what do you do? He said, I am a professor in college. Okay, then you do one thing. At the end of the month, you get salary. You bring that salary and give it to me. Then you are applying this verse in your life. Okay. Then after the one month, he came and gave his 800, that time, 800 rupees salary to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Entire. Bhaktisiddhanta was surprised. He said, oh, is it? Then he called his disciple, go and ask Mataji how much groceries and all. So 200 rupees. So every month he would come and give 800 rupees. Bhaktisiddhanta would give 200 rupees to his wife. And then his wife would run the house. They would purchase all the groceries and I'll give it to her. That's how, they were running the house. Like that. And then once, later on, he stayed with Bhaktisiddhanta in the mutt and all for a few days in Katak and all that. Then he learned the entire philosophy and all. He became very, very convinced. Then he was a professor. His name was Nishikant Sanyal. Nishikant Sanyal. Right? Professor Sanyal. He is a very, very dear friend of Srila Prabhupada. They are friends. Both are friends. And then Nishikant Sanyal became Narayan Das. Narayan Das. Then after that, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he gave him the name of Bhakti Sudhakar. So Narayan Das Bhakti Sudhakar, his name was like that. So once he went to preach. In ISKCON, we don't accept 100 rupees, 200 rupees. अरे कोई आया था, हम बोलता है अरे हुंडी में डाल दो, नो रिसीट कौन बनाएगा, राइट? लाइक दैट वी आर हाई फाई, collectors. Once during BI days, I used to go to Ghatkopar to collect. Every year he would give only 1,000 rupees. Then you know what? After I became big collector, then I stopped going. Then he said, Swamiji, आप आते नहीं. अरे 1,000 रुपए के लिए Ghatkopar आएगा, तो पोस्ट में भेज दो. Like that. But their Gaudimat system is Madhukari. 50 rupees, 10 rupees, like that. They would, monthly collection they do. Like when I was in BI collecting, I used to do Sudama Seva. All the devotees who are coming there, they have to contribute monthly donation, 500, 1,000, like that. So that is, so he went and met Janaki Das Bose, the father of Subhash Chandra Bose, who was a very big lawyer during that time. Then he went and asked, please give, for running Katak Mat, give some donation, give some donation. Then he said, whatever you are giving, I'll give double of that. Double of that. Then Nishikant Dubey, this Professor Sanyal told, I am giving every month 600 rupees. Oh, to faint ho gaya. 600 rupees means that during that time, 6 lakhs, whatever, it's a big amount, My father used to get 200 rupees per month, and then he made such huge properties, in Vizag, with 200 rupees salary. It's a big amount. So 600 rupees he was giving. So then he said, okay, they are very truthful people, no? Say, this Janaki Das Bose, every month he was giving 1,200 rupees to Gaudiya Math. Then Bhaktisiddhanta told Janaki Das Bose to give up eating fish and meat. They are very fond, fish, eating meat and fish. Jalapushpa, they would say. Very difficult. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta used to send prasadam, Mahaprasadam from Gaudiya Math every day to his house. After eating Mahaprasad, so many days, months, every day they gave up eating meat and fish, like that. This Bhakti Sudhakar Prabhu's wife, initially she was very opposed and all that. After that, seeing his devotion, they also turned into devotees. One day, she brought all the jewelry, she brought all the jewelry and gave it to Bhaktisiddhanta. Please use this with jewelry, sell it off, and he said, how you are giving like this? Your daughters and all have to get married, use it. No, this originally belongs to Krishna, so take it. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, wow, this is our Bhakti Sudhakar Prabhu. He is real sannyasi in Gaudiya Math. Even though he is a grahastha, he is a real sannyasi, because tan man dhan sab kuch Bhagwan ko arpan kar diya. Right? So he was actually editing one magazine. Then Bhaktisiddhanta, he would sometimes publish articles in the name of Professor Sanyal. There are some controversies, some pastime is there, like that. Anyway, he was very friends with Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada commented that after the Gaudiya Math was split and all that, Professor Sanyal died. Bhakti Sudhakar Prabhu died. Prabhupada commented that because factions are there, then according to Vaishnava Siddhanta, if two groups of devotees are fighting, we should not side with anybody. It becomes an offense, it seems, if you side with anybody. Prabhupada said the differences between Vaishnavas is transcendental, so you should not go and side with one group and fight like that. So Prabhupada said Krishna took him away so that because he was actually trying to side with Ananta Vasudev, like that, the group. So Prabhupada said that because Krishna took him away so that he won't commit any offense. One more very prominent disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is Jagabandhu Datta. When he was very small, he lost his hearing. Then he opened some grocery shop and all. He was not able to run. Then he wanted to commit suicide. He took opium 2 times he took overdose of opium. But the Jagabandhu Datta. Then he actually he somehow doctors have saved him. Doctors have saved him. Then because he, in order to die, he ran away from, because every time he was committing suicide, his disciples, his relatives are saving him. So he ran away to Kolkata so that he will die very peacefully. But when he saw the Kolkata and all opulence and all, he thought, he will do some business and all. Then he joined some grocery shop, and then he became nice to him, and then he opened his own factory later on, Jagabandhu Inks. Then he was very right from the childhood, he was spiritually inclined, so he was going to sadhus and all. They cheated him. That's why he lost interest, especially some so-called Vaishnavas. They cheated him, so he has lost interest in Vaishnavism. So he got into this. But when he heard Kunjabihari Vidyalankar Prabhu, he got mighty impressed with Kunjabihari Prabhu. Then for 3 years, then by the time very Jagabandhu Tila Inks, became very famous, and then he became very rich. On the bank of Ganga, he built a very palatial building, because every day he was drinking, Ganga water and all that. All that is happening. Then he had 2 wives, then all that. So for 3 years, he did not disclose his identity that he is a very rich man. He was testing, there are 2 devotees, Kunjabihari Prabhu and another devotee. He was associating with him. When he was completely convinced that these 2 Gaudiya Math devotees are very, very sincere and they are dedicated to serving the absolute truth, then he revealed that his identity, that I am so and so Jagabandhu Datta and all that. Then they took him to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But when he heard Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's discourses, and when he had a discussion, argument and all, Bhaktisiddhanta convinced him so nicely that he completely, that day itself, he dedicated himself. Right? Dedicated himself. Then he gave him the Jagabandhu Das Adhikari. Then after some time, Bhaktisiddhanta gave him a title, Bhakti Ranjan. Jagabandhu Das Adhikari Bhakti Ranjan. Like that. He is a very famous devotee. Then he is very, very rich man. Then he had no children. He wanted to dedicate all his wealth to serving Vaishnavas and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then he went, he was very, very close to Kunjabihari Prabhu. Then he asked, how can I serve Bhaktisiddhanta, my Guru Maharaj? Then he said, I want to build a very nice, beautiful temple. Because by the time Ultadanga temple became very small. Till now, entire money he spent. Then anybody would ask him, why are you spending so much money? He said, why are you disturbing my service? This money belongs to Krishna. So I want to spend all my money in Guru Maharaj Seva. Like that he built a very palatial marble temple. Till now, nobody knows how much money he spent. He never disclosed. Right? Like that. He had a diabetes problem and all that. So then that time, the doctors told him, don't exert yourself, because but he did not hear. He used to go climb up, then to oversee the construction with his own self. Like that. That is why he became very sick. One day before the opening of the Bagh Bazaar temple, he fell very sick. Then Bhaktisiddhanta sent some of his disciples to chant, sing bhajans and do harikatha, and then they were doing. And at the last moment of his death, he cried, where is Kunjada? Where is my Guru Maharaj? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Like that. And immediately both of them appeared. Then Bhaktisiddhanta chanted Hare Krishna in his ears, put garland and all. Then Bhaktisiddhanta proclaimed that my very dear disciple, Bhakti Ranjan, Jagabandhu Das, went back to Godhead. Then he took him, they took the body, even though temple was not inaugurated still. They took the body to Natya Mandir and they bathed him and all. Then they have given, like that, last rites, like that. There is one devotee, Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj. His original name was Jagdish Prabhu. His brother was Ananta Vasudev. You know, when he was very small only, he came to Kolkata. Then he started staying in Gaudi Mutt. Then even though studying and all, he became so influenced by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur's teachings that he became a very dear disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then he was living encyclopedia. You know, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would speak. There is always this thing, that whenever Bhagavad Saptaha and all, they should have a assistant who will, So Bhaktisiddhanta would say the first line of the any verse, then this boy would finish. So scholarly, living encyclopedia. He used to edit the magazines. He is the one who wrote Pranam Mantra of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Pranam Mantra of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Pranam Mantra of Bhakti Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Pranam Mantra of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Then he is the one who constituted all this, singing the prayers in front of the deities, all these morning prayers and all that. He is the one. So he contributed a lot. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was asked, after you leave the body, whom we should we approach for clearing of Siddhanta, Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta said, Ananta Vasudev Prabhu. Like that. So like that, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had many very great disciples. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he is a very dear friend of Srila Prabhupada. So Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he was a very scholarly person. And then I'll finish 2 minutes. Once he was strolling around, then his horoscope was lying down. Right? Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. He read the horoscope, then said, you are a very scholarly person, very nice devotee, but you won't get any name and fame. You will not attract crowds. Like that. Anyway, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, there were two factions, happened. Ananta Vasudev, one group, and then Kunj Bihari group, one group. One is administrative, another is scholarly and all that. So they have suspected that Kunj Bihari Prabhu was stealing money and all. Then they have appointed Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj to approach Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta and complain about against Kunj Bihari Prabhu. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur came to know about this. Then he chastised Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj that have you come to do practice sadhana, bhakti, or to do debit and credit notes? Go and practice devotions. Don't complain. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said, Bhaktisiddhanta said, okay, that is his salary. Because he was taking money and then making his relatives into lawyers so that he will claim Gaudiya Math properties. Like that. Anyway, even now fight was going on. That is why Prabhupada did not want, any legal battles to take place. But, our people did not listen. See, they spent so crores of rupees for Bangalore case. Still their problem is not solved. They could have built a very nice temple, with that lawyer's money. Prabhupada never wanted, because till now Gaudiya Math's case is not settled. Prabhupada said, don't waste your money on lawyers. He said, there are liars. So, finish? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki. So much to tell, huh? So much to tell.